Good day, ladies and gentlemen, once again. We still continue with the topic of the present value of annuities. A very lovely topic. So many things have been extracted from the future value of annuities. So the basics, as I said before, that they still remain, but we are focusing on the present value of an annuity. And in this question, which is from question 2 to question number 8, which is 7 questions in total, I will be introducing you to a very lovely function in your calculator, which is called AMORT. We call it AMORT, AMRT. When you do financial accounting 3 in third year, we call this amortization table. You will be doing this in a table. But we will be introducing you only with the button called AMORT in your calculator. And I want to position you to that button. If you look in your calculator, the button N, below N or below button N, there's a button that says AMRT, which is AMORT. So when I say AMORT, or when I say press AMORT, then you'll know what do I mean. And on the left hand top corner of this AMORT, there is A, alphabet A there, with the line, blue line or green line. So that is the function that I want to introduce to you in this question. And another very important function or buttons that I will be using for navigation, it is the 4 buttons that are between second function and the off button, which is the 4 arrows that we have there: the arrow that goes up, the arrow that go down, the arrow that goes left, and the arrow that go right. But mainly the focus to those arrows will be focusing on the arrow that goes up and the arrow that goes down. So now those are the new 2 buttons and functionality that I will be introducing you in this question. A very lovely question on how to use AMORT function. This AMORT is quite important, you'll see when we start doing this question. So AMORT is the main part for this question, and you'll see how it can help you in this calculation of the present value of annuity. Questions 2 to question 8, they follow here. It says you bought the Samsung 75 centimeter TV from Game, which was being offered on the following terms. And the terms in which this TV was offered are 4,999 for cash, meaning if you buy it for cash, you pay 4,999. Second option is the deposit of 750 and 24 monthly payments at 28% per annum, compounded monthly. And I want to bring this across now because I did with the future value of an annuity, that this 28% is per annum, compounded monthly. So if we divide this 28 by 12, it will be 28 divided by 12. We get to 2.33, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3.33%. So now this is interest per month, but 28% is per annum, compounded monthly, and 2.33 is interest per month and is compounded monthly. So I want to bring this because I might use it in my calculations along the way. Now we are required to calculate the monthly payments that this person will make. Then obviously, if we speak of the monthly payments, meaning the cash option is not taken, that means we are opting for the option of making a deposit of 750 and the rest of the balance being paid over a period of 24 months at 28% of the interest that is compounded monthly, meaning every month the interest of 28% will be added based on the balance that we have at the beginning of that given period. So now we need to calculate PMT. we need to know first of all how much is our present value. Now let us continue on that same note. We know that there is an amount which is plus minus open brackets 4,999 4,999 rand minus the deposit of 750. This is what we presently owe game. Then we know that the interest is 28 divided by 12, because there are 12 times in which the interest is compounded over the period of a year, compounded monthly. Our N will be 24 months. So what are we calculating? We are calculating the payments, meaning we compute PMT. Now I will not be again going to the use of the app calculator in your cell phones. I dwelt on that once again in my future value of an annuity. Then now what do we do? Just to brighten up the screen of my tab, then we say second function alpha 00. We say 4,999 minus 750 is our present value. Remember, this present value in terms of the amount, it is 4,900 4,000, oh sorry, that is not correct. 4,999 minus 750 is our present value. We get to 4,249. If you want, you can just say here 4,249 PV. Then 24 is our N. 28 divided by 12 is our interest. Compute PMT. Now we get 2,233 rand 22 cents. I want to introduce you to another thing that I did not mention before, that now don't clear your calculator unless instructed otherwise. I will tell you what do I mean unless instructed. I will instruct you when to clear the calculator. What does this mean? That means currently in our calculator knows that the present value is 4,249, and our calculator knows that the interest per month is 2.33%. You know that 2.33, which is 28 over 12. And our calculator knows that we are going to make 24 payments. And our calculator knows that we are going to make 233 rand 22 cents for 24 months. That is what is in the memory of our calculator now. Hence I said don't clear your calculator, because when we deal with the function that I spoke about, which I said is amount, when we deal with amount, you don't clear your calculator, or else you'll have to go and recalculate what you calculated previously. Now this is number 2 that we were dealing with, that we have just completed. Then now we need to go to the second question, which is question number 3. Question number 3 says, what is the balance after the 8th payment is made? Now this is the importance of the amount function. The amount function will help you to determine the balance after a certain payment is made, or just before a certain payment is made, or it will tell you the balance after a specific payment is made or before a specific payment is made. So now when we are instructed to calculate the balance after the 8th payment is made, now that means we need to use the function or the button amount. Now when you say amount, whatever number that you amount, you'll get the balance after that payment number has been done. So now in this case, we want to know how much is the balance after the 8th payment. So now we need to say amount 8. That means we need to say how much is the balance after the 8th payment is made. Please take note of that. When you say amount 8, you get the balance after the 8th payment is made. Remember, I said don't clear your screen. Leave your screen or your calculator with the payment or PMT of 233.22 that you calculated previously, so that you can say, calculator, you know how much I'm paying every month for 24 months. So tell me how much the balance after the 8th payment of 233.22 has been made. Now, how do we do that in our calculator? You go to calculator, you press amount immediately. When you press the button amount, it says amount P1 equals, at the bottom it says 1. We don't want payment number 1. We scroll down. It says amount P2, which is payment number 2, equals 1. We under payment number 2, now we say no, we don't want payment number 2, we want payment number 8. Then after you press 8, then that one will change. Then now it says amount P2, then says 8. Press the button enter. The button enter, where is it? It is above the delete button. It says ENT. You say amount 8, then you say enter. ENT is enter. Then now it says amount P2 equals 8. But previously it did not say equal 8 when you said 8. It just said amount P2 then 8. There was no equal sign. So that enter is the one that allowed the equal sign. So now under amount 2 we said 8, then we press enter. Then now we go to the arrow that goes down, the arrows that are between second function and the on button. The arrow that goes down, you press and you scroll down. That's what I mean when I say you scroll down. So now, in other words, we said amount 8, amount, then we set amount, then we scroll down. After we scroll down, under P2, we said P2, we pressed 8. Then after we said ENT, which is enter, then after we scroll down again. Then the minute we scroll down, now it says balance. That means now it is giving us the balance after the 8th payment was made. Let us look at the balance after the 8th payment was made. Amount, scroll down, P2, after P2 we press 8, and ENT, which is enter, equals 3,084 and 47 cents. So now this is the balance now after the 8th payment was made. So now that is the very important part when it comes to this calculator. Now again, I want you to scroll for the second term. If you scroll for the second term, it says the principal. Principal is the amount that you owe that does not include interest. And if you scroll down again, it says interest. That means that is the interest now separated from the principal amount, which now if you say you go back again to the principal, which is 1,164, and we also have 701. So now if we are required to determine how much is the interest, then you will say the interest that has been incurred or paid already is 701, although the amount which is the principal is 1,164.43. So now, but I'm not focusing on the principal. That will normally be in statistics 2 and in your third year level. But you can also introduce this in first year. So now this is the balance after the 8th payment is made. Now let us go to the next part, which is number 4. Remember guys, there's nothing else that you do. The only thing that you say you do, you just say amount 8. That's what we need to see. You don't have to show all this scrolling down. In terms of your calculations, you just say amount 8 equals, then you write the amount 3,084 and 47 cents. We don't need any other thing because it is in the calculator and we can't see. You can only show us that you said amount 8. I know as a lecturer that when you say amount 8, you are telling me that you determined a balance after the 8th payment is made. Then after you scroll down, this is the balance amount that we would have got. Then we go to number 4. Number 4 says, what lump sum will settle the debt when the 14th payment is due? What lump sum will settle the debt when the 14th payment is due? Remember, we have not yet cleared the calculator, the memory of the calculator, meaning our calculator still knows that the monthly payment is 233.22 and still knows that we are making 24 payments at the interest rate of 28% compounded monthly. Our calculator is still keeping that memory. That is why I don't talk about clearing your calculator, and still don't clear your calculator. Remember, if you clear your calculator, you will be forced to go back and recalculate the PMT, so that the calculator keeps the memory that the PMT is 233.22 for 24 months at the 28% for compounded monthly, and the present value is this amount. So now if you clear, you'll have to redo this PMT first of all. So now we don't want to clear the calculator and be wasting time. So our calculator still knows that we are paying this amount for 24 months at 28% per annum compounded monthly with a present value of 4,249. So now the fact that we set amount 8, and we got the 3,084 rands 57 cents does not mean the memory of the calculator has changed. The memory of the calculator has not changed. So now this was number 3. Then now we go to number 4 and see what number 4 has in store for us. Number 4 says, what lump sum will settle the debt when the 14th payment is due? That means how much is the balance before the 14th payment is made. I want to repeat that. This means how much is the balance when the 14th or before the 14th payment is made, meaning when the 14th payment is due, meaning before the 14th payment is made. That means now we don't want to amount 14, because if we say amount 14, it will give us the balance after the 14th payment is made, of which we know the 14th payment is 233.22. So now we need the balance before the 14th payment is made. And there are two ways to record to do this type of question. There are two ways, and I'll show you both of the ways. Therefore, now let us start with the way number 1. Way number 1 is to say amount 14. I said we're not supposed to say amount 14, because if you say amount 14, it will give us the balance after the 14th payment is made, of which we need a balance before the 14th payment is made. Now, why am I saying we can say amount 14? Is because if we say amount 14, we'll get a balance after 233 rand was paid. So now we can add that amount back so that we get the balance before the 14th payment, of which we know the 14th payment is 233.22, because we know that we're supposed to make payments of 233.22 for 24 months. So now we are still very much aware of that. So when you say amount 14, then now we scroll up again after the balance. Remember, in my screen I have the balance, then I scroll up. When I scroll up, it says amount P2 8. So now instead of that 8, I press 14. Remember, make sure that it says amount P2, then I press 14, then I say enter, then I scroll down again. Now, meaning I set amount 14, then it gives me 2,058 rand 86 cents. This is the balance after the 14th payment is made. Then balance after the 14th payment is made. And what do I want? I want a balance before the 14th payment was made. Remember, the 14th payment was 233. That means, in other words, we have a balance after the 14th payment was made. So what I'm looking for the balance before the 14th payment was made. So now I need to say balance is equal to 2,058 rand 86 cents plus 233 rand 22 cents. Why am I adding? Somebody's wondering, why am I adding back? Let me just explain to you. Remember, there was a balance which we don't know. There was a balance before the 14th payment, and I don't know this balance. Then after what we did, we said PMT 14, payment 14. We made a payment on the 14th month. How much the payment is? 233 rand 22 cents. Then the balance after the 14th payment was made became an amount of 2,058 rand 86 6 cents. So this is the balance after the 14th payment is made, of which we are looking for the balance before this 14th payment was made. That is why now we have to add back the 14th payment. So now we can use our manual calculator, and we say 2058 rand 86 cents plus 233.22. This will give us the balance before the 14th payment was made, and the balance before the 14th payment was made, it is 2,292 rand 80 cents. In other words, this was the balance before the 14th payment was made. Then after we said minus the 14th payment, it gave us the balance after the 14th payment was made. So now what are we looking for? We're looking for the balance before the 14th payment. Balance before the 14th payment. There we said minus 14th payment. But remember how we did it? We calculated the balance after the 14th payment. Hence we said amount 14, and it gave us the balance after the 14th payment. And we said no, the 14th payment reduced the balance. So now we know how much was paid. We can just add back the amount that was paid. Now, very clear, that means how much is the balance before the 14th payment is made. Meaning if you want to settle just before the 14th payment is made, how much will be that balance? Remember, the question was made very clear. The question said, what lump sum will settle the debt when the 14th payment is due? That means if we want to pay on the 14th payment and pay the whole amount, how much will be due before we make that 14th payment, when the 14th payment is due? So now that is why now we say the balance before the 14th payment is made, or when the 14th payment is due, it is 2,292 rand 8 cents. So now that will be the response directly to the question. Now we continue now on that same note, that same pace. 2,292.08. That was number 4. Then now we go to number 5. We go to number, before number 5, I said there are 2 ways to record this. Let us do the second way. The second way, we can say amount 13. We can say amount 13. Let us go and amount 13. Remember, our calculator still knows the memory. We have not cleared the memory because we don't want to be wasting time in going back and recalculating that PMT again to keep it at the back of our memory. Meaning now our calculator knows that we are paying 233.22 for 24 months at 28% per annum compounded monthly, and our balance is 4,294.249. Our calculator is still memorizing that. So now if you clear it by mistake, go back and calculate the PMT. Then after we go together. Now we say amount 13. That means I press, I don't have to say amount now because I have the balance in my screen. But if you don't have the balance in your screen of the calculator, then you have to say amount, then you go to P2, scroll down, go to P2, then you say 13 and enter. But if in your screen there is a balance, you scroll up. Then when you scroll up, it will say P2. Even if you decide to scroll down throughout, if you scroll down, you get principal, you scroll down, you get interest, you scroll down, it says amount P1, you scroll down again, you get to amount P2. Make sure that in your screen it says amount P2. Then it says amount P2 equals. Then now we don't want 14 now, we want 13. Then you say 13, then enter. Then after I said enter, you scroll down. Now when you say amount 13, we get the balance after the 13th payment was made. It is 2,239 rand 82 cents. So this is the balance after the 13th payment. So now what do we need to do? We need to say plus interest, meaning we add interest for the 14th month, because this is the balance after the 13th payment was made, meaning the opening balance of the 14th month. We need to add interest for the 14th month. 14th month. How to add interest for the 14th month? We say balance at the beginning of the 14th month, it is an amount of 2,239.82 times this by the interest. Our interest is 28% per annum times 0.28 times by 1/12 to get interest for 1 month, so that we add it back. Then we get to the balance just before the 14th payment is made. This is the balance after the 13th payment plus interest for the 14th month. Then we get to the balance before the 14th payment is made. Then we say 2,239.82 times by 0.28 equals times by 1 divided by 12. We get 52 rand 26 cents. Then I can clear the calculations. I just did not create enough space. Then now we need to know the balance before the 14th payment is made. How much the balance? The balance, it will be plus 2,300 or 2,239 rand. Oh, sorry, 2,239.82 cents plus 52 rand 26 cents. Now how much do we get? We get 2,292 rand 8 cents. This is the balance before the 14th payment is made. And we can say that the balance before the 14th payment is made is the same as the balance before the 14th payment is made, which we calculated by saying amount 14, then after we added back the interest for the 14th payment. So now it's exactly the same thing, but it's good to master both of the methods in which you can calculate the balance before a specific payment was made. And I just want to bring to your attention this calculation that you can say 2,239 times by 28/12. You can just leave it there. So now if you do that, you'll still get to the same amount, 2,239.82 times by 28 divided by 12. That will be then we divide by 100. I forgot to say 100. Then 52 rand 26 cents. Remember, this is 28 divided by 12, which is 2.33%. Of which 2.33% we divide by 100 to get into decimal. Then multiply this by 2,239.82. Then you get the same 52 rand 26 cents. I explained this when we did the future value of an annuity. This was number 4. Then we go to number 5. Number 5 has installed some lovely information for us once again. Remember, our calculator screen is not cleared as per yet. We still know that our calculator kept the memory. Now, if you have to change anything, then if you have cleared your screen, like for instance, then you need to go back and calculate that PMT of 233.22. Then after we say under number 5, when the 10th payment was due, meaning before the 10th payment was made, you paid 1,380, meaning when the 10th payment was due, you paid 1,380, meaning the 10th payment was 1,380 into the account instead of the regular payments. Remember, our regular payments are 233 rand 22 cents. This is what we paying regularly. But now the minute there is a change in payments, then now we cannot be using our functions of the calculator. Why? Because at this point now we paid a different amount. So now we need to get to the balance now before the 10th payment was made, or a balance when the 10th payment was due, in other words. So now the question says, how many payments remain if thereof you continue with the original payment? So now what do we need? We need to know the balance before 1,350 was paid, meaning the balance before the 10th payment was made. Then after we deduct the 10th payment and we get to the balance after the 10th payment of 1,380 was made. That is very important to note. Then after, we have to calculate the number of payments now based on the balance after we have deducted this payment, which is no longer the regular payment. Now let us go there, and we are mod 10. Remember, I said you can use any of the two methods that are above, but I'll use the easiest method, which is to calculate. Remember, both of them are important because you can be asked to calculate interest, which is this interest of 52 rand 26 cents. So now I need to amort 10, like I'm using this approach. I need to amort 10. AMRT 10. Why am I amorting 10? Because when I say amort 10, I will be getting the balance after the 10th payment of 233.22 was made, of which the 10th payment was not this amount. The 10th payment was 1,380. So now why am I doing this is because I will add back that payment because I know how much was supposed to be paid. So now I know my regular payment. So I will say amort 10, then after I add back. In other words, we have this balance before the 10th payment. Balance before the 10th payment. Then after we say PMT number 10, payment number 10, then we get to the balance after the 10th payment. After the 10th payment, it will be here at the bottom. So now we are looking for the balance before the 10th, or balance after the 10th payment first. Then what do? I just remember, if you cleared the screen of the calculator, you need to go back and calculate this PMT as you did, because your calculator does not have the memory of what you're doing. If you did not clear the memory of your calculator, even if you used it in any other calculations where you're just using numbers, the calculator still knows the PV, the interest, and your PMT. So don't worry if you used 7 plus whatever, it still knows that. Even if you multiply it or divide it, it still knows that memory. But now I will assume that you did not clear your calculator. Even if you did clear, if you did clear, you recalculated the PMT again, which is 233. Then what do? You press amort, then it will say amort P1 equals 1. You scroll down until it says amort P2. Then under P2 you say 10, then enter. So now what will I do? I will say amort, assume that now again I want to highlight this. In my screen it says balance. When I say amort under balance, it does not move because you cannot amort where there's a balance. And if I scroll down, it says principal, I say amort, it still doesn't move. And I scroll down in my screen, it says interest, and I say amort, still doesn't move. Then now I scroll again, it says amort P1 is equal to 1. I scroll down again, it says amort P2 equals 13. No, I'm not looking for 13, I'm looking for 10. Then I say 10, enter. Then it says now equals. It says amort P2 equals 10. Therefore now I scroll down. After that I get to the balance after the 10th payment was made, which is 2,758 rand 31 cents. That is my balance. Then now I need to say no, my 10th payment was not this amount of 233, so 22 cents. I need the balance before this payment was made, because the 10th payment is 1,380. So I need the balance before this payment was made. Therefore now it has to be balance after, and add this back in order for me to get to the balance when the 10th payment was due. So now that means I have to say now my balance 2,758 rand 31 cents plus 233.22, and this gives me 2,991 rand 53 cents. 2,991 rand and 53 cents. 2,991 rand 53 cents. So now this is the balance before the 10th payment was made. Again, this is the balance before the 10th payment was made. And the balance before the 10th payment was made is 2,991 rand 53 cents. So now this is our balance. Now that we have this balance, we need to know that we made a payment of the 10th payment, and we know that the 10th payment was how much? The 10th payment was 1,003. So now we need to deduct the actual amount that was paid on the 10th payment. We need to deduct the amount that was paid on the 10th payment. Therefore, now how do we do that? We say balance when 10th PMT was due, 2,991.53 less 10th PMT. 10th payment is 1,308. It was no longer the same as the regular payments. Then we say minus 1,380. We get into 1,611 rand 53 cents. So now this is the balance after a different payment on the 10th payment was made. So this is our balance. So now we have responded exactly and directly to the question that we were required. How many, or then now it says how many payments remain. Then we have not responded yet. Again, we have to calculate how many payments now that we owe this amount. Now that we owe this amount, we need to say how many. We are calculating now how much, not how many. How many payments. We want to know how many payments left, because we still want to continue with the same payment. If thereafter you continue with the same payments, meaning we know our PMT, it is equal to 233 rand 22 cents. This is our PMT, and our interest, it is still 28 over 12. Then our PV now, it is the amount that we calculated to 1,611 rand 53 cents. We are looking for N in this case. How many payments then remain if we're paying the same amount of money? So we have plus minus 1,611 rand 53 cents as our PV. Our interest is still 28 compounded monthly. Our N is what we are looking for. Then we have to acknowledge PMT. Our PMT are 233.22. We don't want to change our monthly payments. We want to keep our monthly payments, although we paid a bigger amount. Then we have to now check how many payments remain. Then we compute our N. Then now we have to clear the calculator now. Second function alpha 00. What do? We say plus minus 1,611.53 is the present value. 28 divided by 12 is the interest. 233.22 is our PMT. We compute our N. Compute N, we get 7.62272881 months, which we know that will be equivalent to 8 months, meaning only 8 months are left now. Then we have responded exactly to the first instruction. Now we have responded to the first part. Number B says, what is the amount of the last payment? Now that there are 7 payments, there are 7 full payments and a smaller payment. What is the amount of the last payment? Now, what do we need now? We need to amort. And what are we going to amort? We need to amort now 7, because we know that 7 payments are left, and know that our calculator knows n is 7. Our calculator knows that n is equal to, in fact, 7 point, 7 point, whatever it was, 7.622, 7.622,728. Our calculator knows that there are 8 payments in total, to be honest, because there are 7 full payments of 233.22 and a smaller payment, because this is not a full payment, but we rounded it off to a payment, but it's not a full payment of 233.22. So now what do we do in the calculator? We need to say amount 7, because we know that 7 payments of 233.22 will be made, but the last payment will be smaller, and that is what they are asking for. They want to know what is the amount of the last payment, and we did this in the future value of an annuity. So now we need to say amount 7. Amount 7. Remember, our calculator knows that we are paying this amount for the next 8 payments, because these are 8 payments. The calculator knows that. So now we have to say amount 7, and we get to the balance after the 7th full payment of 233.22 was made. Then after we add interest, and we get now after to the amount of the last payment. Then now remember, in my screen it says n equals 7.622. What do? I say amount, then it says amount P1 equals 1. I don't want payment number 1. I scroll down, amount P2 equals 1. Then instead of that 1, I say 7. Where it says amount P2, I press 7, then I press enter, which is ENT, that is above the delete button. Then now after it says amount P2 equals 7, I scroll down, then I get to 142 rand 54 cents. This is the balance after the 7th payment was made. So now, meaning from the 7th payment to the 8th payment, that is lower than the normal or regular payments, we need to add interest. So now we have to say plus interest. Our interest is 142 rand. Our interest is 142 rand 52 cents times by 28% times by 1/12. Then this will give us the interest amount. Then this will be the interest amount, 142 rand 54 cents. Yes, 54 cents, not 52 cents. 54 cents times by 0.28 equals times by 1 divided by 12. We get 3 rand, a very small amount, a lousy 3 rand 33 cents. So we need to say plus 3 rand 33 cents, which is our interest. Then after we add the two, 3.33 plus 142.54, then it is 145 rand 87 cents. So now this is the 8th payment, or the last payment, if you want to say so. It is the 8th payment, which is the last payment. This is the amount of the last PMT, which is the 8th payment. Why again are we saying 8th payment? Remember, our calculator now recognizes our period, which is our n being our period. Our calculator knows our period as 7 point something, which is 8 payments. So hence we say amount 7 now. We're no longer focusing in the period of 24 months, because our calculator knows it's very important now to know what is in the memory of your calculator. Know what is in the memory of your calculator, so that whatever you do, you're like, okay, what has been installed in my calculator? What does my calculator know? My calculator knows that I have 8 payments that are left, of which 7 of them are full payments. The 8th one will be a smaller payment. So hence we said amort full 7 payments so that we add interest to get to the final smaller payment. And now again, I like to remind you of this and repeat it very cautiously until it goes to your mind, that we can say 28 divided by 12, guys, we get to 2.33%. Then now we say 142, we say 142.54 times by 2.33%. Then this will give you the same amount. Obviously, there'll be rounding off 142.54 times 0.0233 percent. This gives us 3.32 instead of 3.33. That's because they not take into account all the decimals of those threes. So please, guys, also know that you can use that approach, because the 2.33 is the interest per month. Then we have responded to number 5. Then let's go to number 6, then number 7, and number 8. 3 questions that are left. Number 6 says payment number 8 were missed. Remember, guys, the questions are not connected, but all the questions, they are aligned to the first scenario. All of them, they are aligned to the first scenario. We have to go to the first scenario. Now, we are told under number 6 that payment number 8 up to 11 were missed. What does that mean? Remember, now we go back to where we are. Payment number 11 of 233.22 is not based on the previous question, it's based on the first scenario. That means we need to now go back and calculate our PMT again. So now they say it says payment number 8 to 11 was missed. Then now calculate the increased payment starting at the end of month 12. Assume that the debt is settled over the agreed 24 months. Meaning, now what do we need to do? We need to say amort 7. Why do we need to say amort 7? It is because 7 payments were made and the 8th payment was missed. So now if the 8th payment was missed, it means we need to amort number 7. Then after we get to know the balance when after the 7th payment was made, before the 8th payment was missed. So now that is why we need to say amort 7, but we need to know that our calculator knows the payments. Our calculator must know that our payments are 233.22, of which currently our calculator does know that, but our calculator must also know that we are paying for 24 months, and our calculator must know that interest is 28% compounded monthly, of which our calculator knows this now, and our calculator knows this, but our calculator does not know that is 24 months. It only knows 8 months in the previous calculation. That is why now we need to say second function alpha 00, and we clear the memory. Then after we go back in our calculator and we calculate now that PMT, where we had the amount of the present value plus minus 4,249 as our present value. 28 divided by 12 is our interest, and 24 is our N. Then we compute PMT. So now our calculator knows the PMT. We don't have to repeat this, guys, in this question. Remember, we are doing number 6 now, and we are not repeating number 6. We are not repeating number 1 in number 6. In number 6, we deal with what we did previously. What we did in number 6, we just say amort 7. That's it. Why we say amort 7? Because we did the PMT before. We're just repeating it because we lost the memory along the ways of our calculation. Amort 7. Amort 7. How much do we get? Now again, our PMT is 233 in the screen, 0.22. We say amort. It says amort P1 equals 1. We scroll down. It says amort 2. Then we say 7. Enter. We scroll down again. We get to 3,242 rand 14 cents. This gives us the balance after the 7th payment was made. Remember, payment number 8, number 9, and number 10 and up to number 11, they were missed. So now the fact that these payments were missed does not mean that the interest was not accumulated. Now the interest was still accumulated, so now hence we need to accumulate interest from the next following months. So now we have calculated the balance after after the 7th payment was made. Then we need to accumulate this up until the 11th, before the 12th payment was made, which is month number 8, number 9, number 10, and number 11, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. This balance must accumulate interest for the next 4 months. Which balance am I talking about? This balance after the 7th payment was made, because payment number 8 was not made, was missed. So now we need to say plus minus 3,242 rand 14 cents. This is our present value. Now this present value will accumulate interest month number 8, month number 9, month number 10, and month number 11, which is 4 months. So that will be our 4. Our interest will still be 28 divided by 12. That is where this end being 4 now, because this amount will be earning interest, will be accumulating interest for the next 4 months. Although payment number 8 up to payment number 11 are missed, interest is still continuing accumulating in the account. That is why it's important to always make payments as agreed with the company that you have a contract with. So now we're calculating the future value. We need to know how much is in the account before the 12th payment was made. So now we have to say second function alpha 00 to clear the memory. Then plus minus 3,242 rand 14 cents is our present value. 4 is our n. 28 divided by 12 is our interest. We compute future value. Future value is 3,555 rand 50 cents. This is what is in the account before the 12th payment. Balance just before the 12th payment, which is PMT. Now if we have this balance, remember this person continues making payments from the 12th month or from the 12th month. So now we need to know now how much will be those payments. We are required to calculate the increased amount of the payments from month number 12 up to month number 24. From month number 12 up to month number 24. So now we have to say plus minus 3,550. This is what we're currently owing now, which is the present value. This is our present value, and we need to pay this with the interest of 28% compounded monthly. Our n will be how much? That is the very important question. Our n will be 24 minus 11. 24 minus 11, because starting in month number 12. 24 minus 11, 24 minus 11, we get to 13, meaning for 13 months we're going to be making payments. How much will be those payments? This is what we are calculating. We're calculating PMT. Then our second function alpha 00, once again to clear in this case, because we're not using a mod, it's different calculations. Plus minus 3,510 50 rand 50 cents. 50 cents is our present value. 28 divided by 12 is our interest. 13 is our n. Then we compute PMT. Sorry for that. Plus minus 3,550.50 cents. That is our present value. 28 divided by 12 is our interest. 13 is our n. We compute our PMT, which is our payments in this case. Now our payments are 320 Rand 23 cents. Our payments are there's something wrong, 353,555 there. That is why I'm getting an incorrect amount. Plus minus, sorry for that, plus minus 3,555.50 cents is our present value. 28 divided by 12 is our interest. 13 is our N. Compute PMT. Thank you. 320 Rand 23 cents. These are the new payments that will be made for the next 13 months, because we missed 4 payments from month number 8 up to month number 11. And we said how much the balance before the 8th payment was missed, or balance after the 7th payment was made. And we accumulated this balance becoming present value. It increased for the next 4 months and it became the 3,000. And this is what we currently owe just before the 12th payment is made. Then after, we need to say how many payments must be made. In fact, how much payments must be made in order for us to settle this 3,550. And we can see our payments now are increasing. Previously, our payments, they were 233 Rand 22 cents. Now they went to 320 because of the 4 missed payments from month number 8 up until month number 11. So we have responded again to this lovely question number 6. We go to question number 7. This is a very long question, but a very lovely question at the same time, for the full comprehensive understanding of everything concerning amortization. Now it says in number 7, which is one before the last, the interest rate increased to 32% per month per annum compounded monthly from the first of the 14th month. I want to explain different from the first of the 14th month, meaning after the 13th payment was made. Meaning after the 13th payment was made, because that will be beginning of the 14th month. So what do we need now? We need to amort 13 and get the balance after the 13th payment is made, so that after now, from the 14th payment, there is a change in the interest rate, and we use this balance to calculate the new payments. Very important also to note that. Now our calculator, does it know the payments? No, our calculator knows the payments based on the missed one, meaning our calculator knows 320 now. Our calculator knows 320.23 as our payments, of which we want to know the payments of 233 Rand 22 cents in our memory of the calculator, so that we can say amort 13. So in other words, what does that mean? It means I have to say again plus minus 4,249. What is 4,249? 4,249, it is my original present value. You see, now we have no choice but having to go back, because there is no way you cannot clear in this case. We have to go back and say 4,249 is our present value. 28 divided by 12 is our interest. 24 is our N. Then we compute our PMT. Now our calculator has the right memory, which is in terms of the payments, in terms of the period, and in terms of the interest, which is the old interest rate before there was a change in the interest rate, and the old PMT before the payment could change because of the change in the interest rate. Now we continue that same note. What do we do now under this number 7? We say amort 13. That means we press amort. Then it says amort P1, payment 1 is equal to 1. We scroll down, amort P2 is equal to 1. We say 13. Then after enter, we scroll down, we get to 2,239 Rand 82 cents. This is the balance now after the 13th payment is made. That means a day before the change in the interest rate, because interest rate changed on the beginning of the 14th month, on the first day of the 14th month, meaning just after this balance of 2,239 39 rand 82 cents, where we set amount 13. This is what we got. So now this is exactly the balance just a day before the change in the interest. So now if this is the balance that we owe presently, we need to calculate the new payments, because interest rate now from the 14th payment is no longer the same. So now because the interest rate has changed, then the payments now in this case have to change based on the instruction. Then now what are we calculating? The new now payments. We have plus minus balance of 2,239 rand 82 cents. This is what we presently owing now. The interest now, it is 32 divided by 12. Our n, now we need to exactly know our n. Our n again will be 24 minus 13, because it's the 14th payment or 14th month where there was a change. So now again 24 minus 13 will give us 11 in this case, meaning our n will be 11. What do we want to know? We want to calculate the new payments. Calculate new payments. Second function alpha 00 to clear the memory. Then we say 2,239.82 plus minus is our present value. Then we have 32 divided by 12 is our interest. Then we have 11 as our n, and we compute our PMT. Our PMT are 237 rand 63 cents, meaning we are going to be making these payments for the next 11 months, starting from month number 14 up until month number 24. Why? Because of the change in the interest rate. Then now our n has to change, meaning our annuity or our PMT has to change, meaning our annuity now had to change. There was a new annuity. Now that was number 7. And I want to let you know that what does our calculator know? Our calculator knows our n as 11, PMT as 233, and our present value as this. Is because of the change in the interest rate. Now let's go to the next question, which is the last question, number 8. It says the interest rate increased to 32% per annum compounded monthly from the 14th of the first month. That we know. What amount will settle the debt when the 20th payment is due? That means you can say that this 14th payment, this one is aligned with the previous one. Now, what does our calculator know? Want to know that what amount will settle the debt when the 20th payment is due. Now they say when the 20th payment is due. Remember now, what does our calculator know? I want to remind you of that. Our calculator knows that we have 11 payments. Our calculator knows that our n is equal to 11. That's what our calculator knows currently. And further than that, our calculator knows that our n is 11, and it also knows that our PMT were calculated above. Let us just go to our PMT in the calculations. It knows that our PMT are 237, and this is 11. And remember now, they say when the 20th payment is due. Remember, we are starting on payment number 14 now. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That means what do we amort? We amort 7. Are we clear with that? We amort 7 because we have 11 remaining payments. They are starting when? In month number 14. So now we are saying 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, month number 20, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is very important. Now, this is very important to note. We don't say amount 20, we say amount 7, because the seventh payment in the seventh payment in this new period, the seventh payment is the 20th month. Thank you. The seventh payment in this remaining 11 month, the seventh payment is the 20th month. Why am I saying that? Is because we're starting in month number 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we're calculating 7 months, of which 13 payments were already made before there was a change in the interest rate. So now hence we say amort 7. We don't say amort amort 20. So now that is very important question to master, guys, what I've just told you now. We say amort 7. AMRT7. Now the question was how much, the question was what amount will settle the debt when the 20th payment is due. That means we're looking for the balance before the 20th payment was made. Now if we say amount 7, we get to the balance after the 20th payment was made. Then we need to add back the 20th payment so that we get the balance before the 20th payment was made. So that we get the balance when the 20th payment was due. What will settle? In other words, if you wanted to settle on the 7th new payment or on the 20th month, then for now, how much will be the balance before the 20th payment is made? So now that is why we say amount 7. Now our calculator is very clear and it knows exactly this for the next 11 months, of which in the 7th month is the 20th payment. We say now amount P1 equals 1. We don't want payment number 1. Amount P2 equals 7. We say enter. We scroll down. Then now when we set amount 7, meaning balance after the 20th payment, 20th month in fact, and 20th payment is 810.90.37. Then we need to add back the 20th payment that was made. And you know that we are paying 237.63. So now, in other words, we have to add back that payment because it was deducted previously. We say 890.37 plus 237.63. We get 1,128 rand. This is the balance before the 20th payment was made, or this is the balance when the 20th payment was due. Remember, this is the 20th payment. We added it back so that we get the balance before this payment was deducted. And once again, I've shown you this before by saying we can get to the balance. This is the last one, balance before the 20th payment, which we don't know. 20th PMT is a question mark. Then we say PMT number 20. Payment number 20 is 237.63. Then we get to the balance after. Balance after 20th PMT. How do we get this? We say amount. We say amount 7, which is the 7th month is the 20th payment. We set amount 7, then we get the balance after, and that balance is the one that amounted to 890.37. It amounted to 890.37. Then we say this balance, it is what it is because we deducted the 20th payment. PMT 20 was deducted in the balance that we don't know. So now what do we need to do is to add it back. That is why now we say 890.37 plus 237.63. Then this will give us 1,128. Sorry for that. That is the balance before the 20th payment was made. That means the balance when the 20th payment or the 20th month was due. So now with that, guys, you've been wonderful listening for 1 hour, almost 10 minutes now. And I had to do this because this question is very big. But normally during the assessment, they'll give you questions individually, like this question separately, and this question from the scenario, and this one separately from the information in the beginning. So it won't be a continuation, but it's also very important to master this comprehensively, how it all blends together, and more especially understanding the usage of your calculator, how the functions of your calculator function when it comes to their mode function or their mode button. Thank you guys. With that, you've been wonderful. God be with you.